Welcome to the Answering Science Policy Questions study tutorial. In this video, I am going to explain everything you need to know to do this task. But before that, I would like to explain the motivation and the reason we have designed a system to help us answer scientific questions about the U.S. National Science Foundation, or NSF. Each year, NSF provides funding for many scientists to perform research in various areas. Therefore, it is important to be able to understand their funding policies and priorities and answer questions such as how much they have spent on some specific area of research. For that reason, we have designed the system to help people understand and make sense of the NSF funding policies and priorities. Now, let's start with the basics of the system. This is the login page. Please enter your Upwork ID and click on Start. It will take a few minutes for the system to load. Once the system loads, you will see this page. At the top right corner, you see the timer. There are a total of 3 questions and you'll have approximately 20 minutes to answer each one. Here's an example question page. The question you need to answer is shown at the top, and depending on the question, there may also be one or more definitions of technical terms shown here as well. The bottom half of the page shows some of the grants awarded in only 2016. Here's a search box that you can search within the full set of 10,000 grants, which we'll come back to in a minute. Next, you see some text. These are some of the grants that NSF funded in 2016, along with the amount given for each grant. These grants are ordered based on the grant amounts. Now, how are we going to answer this question, which is about cybersecurity? First, you will review grants and mark ones that you think are relevant or irrelevant to the question. You won't have to mark all grants since as you go, the system will observe what you're marking and will periodically suggest new grants to mark. Finally, the system will provide you with a summary of the grants you've deemed relevant, as well as additional ones that it predicts are also relevant based on what you have selected. Remember, marking irrelevant grants is as important as marking relevant grants. If you don't mark irrelevant grants, the system will not be able to help you properly. To help determine if a grant is relevant or irrelevant, you can read a detailed description of it by clicking on Read More. For example, reading the grant detail here, it looks like it's not related to cybersecurity, so we will mark this as irrelevant. You should keep exploring the grants. You should also mark grants as relevant and irrelevant as you are doing so. Remember that you're only seeing a small set of the total grants right now. However, you can display other grants by searching for keywords using this feature here. And the system will automatically show you the top 50 search results. In each question, you can query for phrases after 3 minutes of exploring the grants. You should use your knowledge from the grants you have explored so far to create queries. Now that we have spent 3 minutes exploring the grants, let's try querying for cybersecurity. What you see now are the top 50 grants that are related to cybersecurity. We can mark some or all of these grants as relevant or irrelevant. By default, the grants will be sorted based on relevance to your search keyword, but you can also sort them based on the grant amount. For example, if you want to focus only on grants with high amounts, you can use this feature. Once you're done going through the search results, just click on this X button to remove the search results and see all the grants you had initially seen. We encourage you to try to make multiple queries because different queries will expose you to different sets of grants. For example, for this question, in addition to cybersecurity, words such as privacy and internet security are reasonable queries to make. And further exploration of grants should help you create better queries. Periodically, after every 10 grants you mark, the system automatically identifies some grants that would be helpful for you to mark. These grants will be shown in a pop-up window that will open. There are 3 steps that you need to complete here. In step 1, you see 10 grants. These grants have been identified as being particularly useful for the system to learn about what you find relevant or irrelevant. Please mark each one carefully. Once you click Save, you'll go to Step 2. In Step 2, you see 10 grants. The system thinks these grants are relevant. Please confirm or correct each one by marking it. To save time, you can select all of them as relevant or irrelevant. Finally, in Step 3, you see 10 grants. The system thinks these grants are irrelevant. Again, please confirm or correct these predictions. You can select all of them as irrelevant to save time. Once you are done with Step 3 and have saved, the pop-up will disappear and you can keep marking grants in the main window. Now, say you have marked enough grants and think that you are ready to see a summary of those grants and to answer the question. That's what this button is for. By clicking it, you'll get to another page that looks like this. If you want to go back to the previous page, just click on this back button, and remember, not the browser's back button. In this page, you can review the grants that you marked before and answer the question. Here, you see some information about the relevant grants that you manually marked and some grants that the system has automatically identified as relevant. You can click on Show the Documents to see the grants in each category. Then you can inspect the content and start writing the answer based on what you have learned and seen in the content of these relevant grants. Now, what is this left panel for? You will use this information to find out about the grant amount statistics of the relevant grants and finally answer the question. You can include the amount of any sets of grants. The first set are the grants that you manually labeled. The second set includes the grants that the system has identified and is pretty confident about their relevance. The third set includes grants that the system has identified but is not so confident about their relevance. We encourage you to inspect the sets as much as you can to decide whether you want to include them in the amount. After inspecting the grant, we decide that because these grants are relevant, we want to include their amount in the final answer. So we select that and then we can answer the question using this amount. By clicking on Submit, your answer will be saved and you'll be taken to the next question. Keep in mind that you will have a total of 20 minutes to answer each question. Try to mark as many grants as you can until you are ready to provide a good answer to the question. Once you are done answering all the questions, you'll be taken to a survey and then you will be finished. Thanks for your attention and good luck in this study.